You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Folks, some producer Vic has a beat on things. You just got to follow suit. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, the Thursday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365 following an actual regular season hockey game and a Maple Leafs victory. How are we feeling, Rosie?
Wild. Nicky, you're celebrating by looking like a hooligan out there for some footy. Am I right?
It's a Better Collective. Our friends over at Better Collective. I got a football jersey last night. I love it. I'm wearing it proud, baby.
Wow, look at that. Yes, sir. Good stuff. Yeah, man. Good to get the season rolling on a good note. My Oilers friends in the chat are crying after running their mouth about us losing to Montreal. Did not happen. Hilarious. Good mood all around. What a day for TO as well. Am I right?
Oh, buddy. Still flying high after last night for the Toronto Blue Jays. A bullpen game. They go into the Bronx. They win the DS off to the CS, and they're 4 wins away from advancing to a World Series. You're right. It was a really nice night for the city of Toronto, wasn't it? And I thoroughly enjoyed watching Connor McDavid and the Oilers lose to the Calgary Flames last night. I'll say that.
It gives me a chuckle, that is for sure. Why can't hockey players party like ball players after every single series win? They're partying harder than other sports when they win the whole damn thing, man. It's wild. I guess we always talk about it, but it's so awesome. Like you're playing in 2 days, boys. I love it. I do love it. When does that next series start, actually? Is it in 2 days, or do they have time to cure the hangover? It'd be hard to avoid
Sunday night.
After a party.
Sunday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
In baseball terms, that's like next month. So pile it on, boys.
I thought it was great. I love John Schneider after the game. Didn't care. It was national TV. Every guy, quite frankly, didn't care. But they celebrate every time they win something significant. They've had like 4 celebrations in the last month. Clinching a playoff spot, winning the division, winning this series against the New York Yankees. I can only wonder what a World Series celebration would look like.
I don't know how you go too much harder. Like, what do you start bringing... The you-know-what's around?
Bringing what? What are we bringing?
What? The stuff?
What?
The
cigars?
No, I don't think those guys. But I was going to say, yeah, it always blows my mind. To me, it's like football, hockey, and then baseball as far as like, no laughing, no, everything's serious. Run here, hustle up, move your feet. Like football is just like, oh my God, like get out of my face. But you got to do that when you play. And it's like the less you play, the more intense you got to be, it seems like, which is totally weird. But then hockey's like in the middle, and then ball. Like I remember being in the clubhouse for the Jays years back, and I'm like, boys, like the first, like we're starting here in 10 minutes. Like you got a game, and the belts are open. Buddy's eating ice cream. Someone's just mowing a hamburger. Buddy's playing PlayStation in his stall. I was just floored by it, but it's so relaxed and chill. And I really would love to have 1 year of being a ball player just to get that vibe, especially when you're celebrating a series win like that.
If you get the job done, do whatever you want. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. It was so great to be on the couch last night watching some NHL action, watching MLB playoffs, and just so great to have hockey back. And watching Edmonton, like, can somebody tell Stan Bowman, I know you got some extra cap space. You don't have to spend it right now. Like, this guy's going bonkers with his spending. Ekholm, apparently Kulak's going to get extended. Then Jack Roslovic, our guy, who we spent the majority of summer talking about, linked to the Maple Leafs, signs with Edmonton, man. Is this going to be the play moving forward? Everybody's going to go to Edmonton because they think they're going to win a cup here?
Good question. Talk about a long summer for Roslovic to be hanging out that long and finally get a deal. It wasn't even for that much money. Is he worth more, or did he run out of time and just need a bloody team?
I think he ran out of time. He didn't get term. It sounded like he wanted term and money and then just settled and said, you know what? Like, I don't understand it. He missed the entire training camp to sign a 1-year deal, even fired his agent. Like, he changed agents too, and he ends up with 1 year and $1.5 million. Okay. Good job.
Yikes. let's do it again next year and see if things go better. My God. But I don't know. You see Skinner's. I know we'll get to the Maple Leafs. Sorry, but I don't know if
Yeah.
people get pissed when we don't. But another blooper by
That
Skinner.
third goal, holy
Can I be
shit,
that
man.
bad in the league and still just be cemented into my role? What the hell? It's very interesting. Again, I think we talked the other day about, we know Edmonton needs a better goalie to get over the hump probably, but who is that and how do you get him or her to be your
True.
goaltender? Imagine.
No, I like that because you never know. Julie the Cat Gaffney, we haven't seen one in 30, 40
Manon
years.
Rheaume.
Yeah,
Do you
maybe
remember
it's
that?
her. I
You
do.
never know.
She follows me on Instagram. We're Instagram friends.
It's funny, though. I do laugh at my Oilers friends, but big win for the Maple Leafs. Good to get on the board on the right way. We were talking yesterday about what would just a good win look like, where you're not planning a parade, but you're not tearing it down to the studs. Like, how would that look? And probably pretty similar to the game we watched last night, if you ask me.
Did you know 50 minutes went by in that hockey game and not one single shot was registered by both Willie Nylander and Austin Matthews? That's a bit of a hook. Coming up, we got Luke Fox of Sportsnet in about 25 minutes to give his thoughts here on the season opener, 5-2 victory for the Maple Leafs at the Leafs Nation. 4-1 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins. If you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every hockey experience all season long. A 5-2 victory here for the Maple Leafs in the opener. But that's pretty crazy. If I were to tell you yesterday the Maple Leafs to go the first 50 minutes of that game, no shots registered for Nylander and Matthews, what would you say?
Yeah, I'd say it was probably going to be a pretty ugly night, and they would have struggled. And there was points of time like that was not, we're not planning a parade after last night, obviously, but they got the job done without their best stuff, without their best players. It blows my mind that Willie, did Willie get 2-1 or 1-2? Like,
Yeah.
I wish I could play like that and get 3 points. Like, are you kidding me? On paper, it looks like he's a superstar. He didn't move his feet. He was a turnover machine, and he was non-existent. And Pappy was non-existent. And they still just get on the score sheet. But nonetheless, I think that shows that, some back end and some depth were pulling their weight last night, which is always a great sign.
Yeah, I thought it was a clunky, sloppy night for both teams. The execution wasn't there from the Maple Leafs perspective. Far from their best game. I thought Anthony Stolar is familiar theme from last season, made some big saves in the second half of that game. Morgan Rielly, we got on producer Vic yesterday a bit for the hot take of the week, suggesting Morgan Rielly is going to set a career high in points, and 72 is his career high right now, so 73. But I thought he looked really, really confident, good last night, fast, quick, making the right reads. This is the perfect start for a Rielly, considering everything we talked about in the preseason, considering everything he went through last season.
It's that 6 pounds, man. It's so obvious. The 6 pounds was dragging him down. Now that it's gone, he's free to be himself, just like he was years ago. No, it's a good start for him. Good confidence builder. It's always nice when you start off a season on the right foot. It feels like, even though it's just one game, it's just so much more important than a game at the beginning of January. You kind of rely on that. You feel like, ooh, is my juju here this year? Are the hockey gods going to be, looking down on me in the right way? And it's just a little bit of all right, this could be my year. You start off the right way. It's just like anything else. And I thought Morgan Rielly looked great. No real defensive lapses or anything, but I love the way he's just a threat jumping in the offense without being a turnover machine or getting caught up ice and having odd man rushes against. He can read the play. He has an offensive mind. He knows when he can jump in, and if the play doesn't develop to him, he's good at curling back and just being right where he needs to be on his point. So the more he does that, obviously it's beneficial for the team, but I think that his confidence is just going to build and build. And I imagine it was hard for him to do that and to be a threat down the stretch last year when he just wasn't having his best year in the regular season. So great to see him get on the board and start off on the right foot.
It adds a different dimension to this Maple Leafs team when it's not the key guys who are contributing. Like I thought Matthew Nyes had a quiet night, though surprise, he elevates in the third period, makes a big play to set up the game-winning goal there from Rielly. Matthews was quiet, Nylander was quiet, but when you're getting that depth scoring, and we can joke all we want, it's the first game, but for a guy specifically like Bob McMahon and Calle Yarncroke, both in contract years, to start that way, I think is massive for this team, Rosie. The last thing you want to do, and you can speak to this, is start slumping to start a long, grueling season.
Yeah, I probably can speak to that because my whole career was a slump if you look at it that way. But no, Yarny, I mean, for not even really being slated potentially to even be in the lineup, to get on the board and be effective. And you see, when they're trying to play some shutdown defense at the end of that game, he gets slotted up with the big boys, which is a storyline in itself as far as Chief having some defensive trust in Michelli up there. But definitely a big start for Yarncroke to, you saw the look on his face when he scores, right? There's a guy that's going like, hell yeah, that couldn't have gone better. I didn't know what this season was going to bring. I didn't know if I'd be on the team. I didn't know if I'd be in the lineup. Opportunity arises, and I make the most of it by playing a damn good game. And I think that's definitely him getting through the door of being like, maybe I do need to be a full-time part of this team. And Bobby McMahon as well. The two guys that stood out to me were Bobby McMahon and Morgan Rielly. Bobby's shot, we know his release is ridiculous. He can just wire it, but he's fast too. And there's probably 3 times last night where he just was almost blowing the doors off a guy, and you're like, oh God, and it's like dangerous speed. And if you can just get 1 or 2 steps on a D-man with his shot, you can wire one from outside and start beating goalies and beating D-men to start with, which is a great sign. So yeah, we know that core 4 mentality of all the eggs in that basket. Well, what do you have if you don't have one of those guys or all those guys going? You have nothing. And it just hasn't been a formula that's led to success for any team, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, throughout the course of a season. And now, I think it's a good sign that we're starting to see some D-men jump up in the offense and some depth scoring as well. A well-rounded team, I think, goes a long ways.
I thought by far the second line, if you want to call it that, with JT, I mean, Nylander wasn't great, but McMahon, like, they showed me the most. It's tough to evaluate after one game where, again, they were very sloppy and clunky and the outlet passes weren't great and everybody just seemed a bit off. To win that game, I thought was crucial. But, man, I watched 2 power plays and I'm like, I don't want to see a power play for the rest of the season. Like, here we go again. And I know this is going to be just an ongoing trend and theme with this team, especially now with who in Vegas, although he was the same type of bullshit on this power. I do not know what it is about this power play, dude. The zone entries, they can't even gain the zone half the time.
That's the thing. Like, whether you call it their breakout or their entry, it's dog shit. It's lackadaisical. It's just the whole thing looks like Willie Nylander at his worst, right? Where no one's ready for anything. It thinks it's going to be easy, just all over the low percentage plays. They have to blow it up if it continues like this. Not the people, but the structure. Like that big old obvious drop pass. I mean, the reason you do that is so that your defenders have to get to the blue line and hold up and be flat-footed, and you're supposed to gain with speed and possession. But what seems to be happening, and again, I'm no power play specialist, but it's not friggin' hard to see, is that all of our players are getting flat-footed, mixed up amongst their players that are flat-footed, and there's too many bodies at the blue line, and the guy that gets dropped to, whether it's Austin or whoever, comes through, gets pressured in some way, shape, or form, and has to dish it to some guy who has a body on them, a stick on them, and they're flat-footed, and it's just a shit show. Like, blow that shit up and do something different. Like, there's way too much skill on that power play to be that terrible. Let's be honest. And once you do get it in the zone, I don't know, like Nyes, like you said, he kind of pulled it together in the third, but like he wasn't forechecking like he could. It just looked kind of lackadaisical for the fact that all these guys are fresh. They've been chomping at the bit for real hockey here, and it's been all summer getting prepared. Like, what happened to dropping the puck and just fireworks and cranking hits and big FU matches and scraps and all that stuff? I know it's not 2005, but that was kind of a bit of a snoozer, to be honest with you, for opening night against the Montreal Canadiens, which kind of pisses me off. They got the job done. I'm not trying to create that big narrative, but like, sorry to say, that wasn't exactly electrifying hockey. And, the power play is no different. It was just lackadaisical snoozer, and they got to do something with it because it's terrible to watch. And it really kills your momentum, man. Like, to the point, like you said, we don't even want power plays anymore. Keep them. It's just going to kill us in the end. Fuck, shorthanded goals against is very likely, and that's when they're at their worst. It's not the first time we've had this conversation, but if that continues, something drastic needs to be done.
That was a sexy release by Oliver Kapanen on that shorty, by the way. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So 40 minutes into the season, this happened at the second intermission. I get a tweet from Martin Grenier, whoever that is, on X. Leafs fans will realize how important Marner was. And that was, I guess, speaking to how quiet the top line was. Well, what was your read on that trio? I mean, we were laughing in our group chat because just in the third period alone, we saw Domi with Matthews and Nyes. We saw Calle Jarnkrok. Like, I joked yesterday, I'm like, I can't wait until Jarnkrok plays with those guys. It took 28 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Like, do you not like Michelli up there, or what are you thinking?
Well, I'm starting to think that Berube's not a Michelli guy. Like, I know it's early, but he seems like in a hurry to get Michelli off that top line, which I understand. I mean, he's got similar traits to other guys. He's just a smaller guy. He's not your prototypical Craig Berube guy. Can he contribute to this team? Can he be a difference maker? Hell yeah. I think we saw it in spurts last night. But from a fit standpoint, it really feels, at least to me, watching optically, I don't think Craig Berube thinks that fit's going to be Michelli on that top line.
Yeah, and that kind of annoys me. Like, it's so early in this, and he's, you watch in that first period, the way he can make plays and the way he seems and can put the puck on a guy's stick where you don't even see it from the bird's eye view watching the TV, and he does down there is bloody impressive. We know he's a disher and a playmaker, and like, you need that with Auston Matthews. Like, you need a guy to find his stick and make the play. And yeah, you have to do it without turning pucks over. And yeah, you have to be defensively responsible. But I would like to see a little bit more of an experiment here than the first game and you yank him off after 28 minutes. I don't think that's good enough. But yeah, like you say, it looks like Berube's mind leans away from Michelli, right? Especially on the defensive side of things. And I know he preaches that and all the rest of it, but I guess we'll see where it goes from here. I just don't see him being effective on like the third line. Like, you need to be defensively responsible there too. You can't turn over pucks there either. And you need guys to be able to make plays with. And I don't know. I guess I've had it in my mind all summer long that Michelli is going to get a good crack with those guys. And I also thought that, the chemistry was going to be there and they'd be able to make plays and be really dangerous. So I would like that to be at least given a fair shot, but we'll see where it goes. Chiefs obviously the one calling the shots, and we'll see where his head's at. But again, I'd like to see him get a fair shot up there.
Look, it was the first game. I mean, I didn't really think anybody was particularly good. We had some guys we highlighted, but I mean, far from a complete effort for sure. They got the 2 points. Here's a really fun proposition from John Gallagher in the chat. Why not try Cowan on the top line? How do you feel about that?
I mean, not yet, but down the road, I think we'll see where he's at. But you do that right off the bat, and
we're horny.
You talk about putting too much on a kid, and you talk about setting him up for failure or having him take steps back when all you're wanting to do is take little steps forward. It's this huge jump from junior to the show. And I think you throw him into that line. I'm not saying that can't happen down the road, but he needs to take baby steps to get there. And I've been a proponent of him being in the NHL and being on that fourth line where it's like, look, buddy, if 60 minutes goes by and you don't have 2 points, that is okay. No one expects you to have that. But what we want you to do is get used to the speed, get used to the timing, understand where the mistakes happen, understand how quickly the transition happens, and start to work on good habits where, let's be honest, the way those guys, the superstars, play in the OHL, the WHL, the Q, it's a mockery. They're playing like 28 minutes a night. It is an absolute, it's like Mitch Marner on fucking steroids out there, gliding and saucing and backhanding. And you cannot do that in the show. So you have to get those habits out of you. But I think he's good enough to play in this league and be effective and help the team. So baby steps towards that. But down the road, if he does, in fact, go that direction and they keep him in the NHL, I think by all means he will get a crack at that top line at some point.
At some point, you have had to be a star player on one of your teams growing up. Do you remember a game where you played the most you ever had in your career? Like, I was time on ice logged back then?
Oh, not on paper, but I
Would you
remember
say
being
like every other shift or like maybe 25, 30 minutes of a game?
yeah, there was time. I remember like my memory's not great, but I remember playing on a
Yeah.
line where they're like the top three of us were by far the best, and we're playing this tournament and we're trying to win, and it's just over and over again, and we're piling up points and lots of fun, right? It was few and far between, but there'd be times where I'd sneak through the cracks and be that guy. But for the most part, I just remember feeling like my hair was on fire and gripping the stick endlessly.
Sounds about right. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're about 10 minutes away from Luke Fox of Sportsnet, who is at Scotiabank Arena for the season opener. Maybe it's the mics. I mean, it seemed like a very, very quiet building. I don't know.
I
I
saw
can't
you
speak
tweet that
to
it
it.
was buzzing.
Yeah, it's called sarcasm, dude.
Oh, that
I
was
don't
a
know. Like
sarcastic.
that intro does not fire me up. I had Habs fans texting me being like, "What was that intro?" I mean, I plead the fifth. Just get fired up a bit. Maybe it's the TV. I've been there in person though. Like the only time it's relatively loud is in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We beat that drum so many times. It's just like you think you'd be more excited. I was actually looking at the crowd during player intros, and people just kept looking down at their phones and texting. Like they're announcing the players coming out, Nicolas Waugh, and like they're just like, I don't know. I do not know what it is with that environment, but there are better
I know.
rinks in terms of crowd quality.
Like if you want to compare like the Bell Center, like they have
Oh,
their
night and day, dude.
famous
Yeah.
song and the kid lights the lantern at the
Yeah.
center and the fucking holograms are going. Everyone's like, it's just like, "Whoa," like from the souls of everybody. It's unbelievable. And then it's soulless is what it is in the Scotiabank Center. And I don't know if that's because they haven't won in forever or because the fans are passionate. We know that. Like you go outside and people are crying after losses and celebrating and wearing their flags and their toques and their hats and their jackets and jerseys, and there's tons of passion there. Just why doesn't it translate into that bowl when it's time for the crowd to get jazzed up? Because I think that the PR team does everything they can. They've tried to reinvent the wheel 100
Yeah.
times, getting things going, and maybe it's a little bit of the microphones. I do believe that, but I know it's disappointing every time we talk about it.
I like this guy in the chat. I think is his handle. What is this clown? The noise police? Go and enjoy the game, you weirdo. Fine. I will.
Let's just turn the cameras off and we won't talk about anything anymore. Just everyone enjoy the game and no one talk about anything. Good call.
All I'll say, it's doable. I've been to a Raptors game, great crowd. I've been to a Blue Jays game, great crowd. Why can't we just transition that to Scotiabank Arena? I think it's the clientele entering that arena, plain and simple. But we're not going to spend all podcasts talking about that. I just think it's the home opener. Let's fire it up a bit. But what do you think of Anthony Stolarz this night? Makes 28 saves.
I thought he was good, not great. I thought his rebound control was pretty average. But again, if that's pretty average, then you know you got a pretty good damn goaltender.
Yeah.
So again, played good enough to get the win. I'm sure he'd say that wasn't his best performance, but again, made the saves that he needed to, made the stops he needed to, and there was some breakdowns in front of him, no question. And overall pretty solid, but I think the ceiling's a lot higher, and I think we will get to it.
In support of Sick Kids, Tammy, thank you so much for the super chat. David Amber predicts the Sens will win the Atlantic Division. Thoughts with emoji eyes. I got to be frank with you. I picked Ottawa to win the Atlantic Division as well, but Rosie's not buying it, of course.
Why?
I just think, I mean, you can make this case with every team, but Linus Ullmark, the guy won a Vezina Trophy, and I think he showed spurts last year why he won the Vezina Trophy. I think goaltending's key for every team. If they get the goaltending, I could see Ottawa winning the division. I think they take that next step. And it's not like anything against the Leafs. I think they're going to be great. I picked them to go to the Stanley Cup final. I just think they don't need the division. I think they proved last year they don't need the division. We talked all year, home ice this and division that. And what do? They had game 5 and 7 on home ice and shit themselves. So whatever. Start on the road. I don't care.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, there's Bobrovsky, there's Vasilevsky, there's Stolars in the division as well. So just
Yeah,
don't see them winning the division. But I do agree that Ottawa is coming and they are getting better and they will be a force sooner than later. I think Montreal is coming as well and they're going to be a force sooner than later. But I don't see them winning the division and beating all those teams. I mean, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, they're all going to be in a fight for that. I don't know who's going to win it. And I don't think it matters long term who does, as we've seen in the past. But
exactly.
82 games, Ottawa, I am going to fade that one.
And I think it's a prime indication too, even watching the game last night. I know it's one game, but you look at the rosters on paper. Montreal's this up and coming team. Everybody's jacked about them. They got Demidov and Suzuki. People are projecting like 100-point season for Suzuki and Caulfield. Like there's just so many guys in that roster, and a very veteran Maple Leafs roster billed as the heaviest roster in the NHL. Just take care of business. So it's like almost one of those things where don't judge a book by its cover. And I think we've even seen it to an extent in this market, especially pertaining to Montreal. I think it's tough going from the hunter to the hunted. And that last year, Montreal snuck up on a lot of opponents. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I didn't think they were particularly good. Like Noah Dobson was okay. Didn't really notice Nick Suzuki, but I think around the division, you're going to get that case quite a bit.
Yeah, again, up and coming, not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know, like if Ottawa's decor was in Toronto, it would be a laughing stock and no one would give us a
Yep.
chance at anything, but they have their decor and people are picking them to win the division. It's just I just don't think it's right. I think they could be a sleeper. I love their leadership with Brady Tkachuk. I think they got some pieces, no doubt, and yeah, a good goaltender, but I don't know. I think it's the heaviest division in hockey, probably. I think the Central. Who would be next? You think the Central's probably?
Yeah, probably the Central. Probably the
It's a
Central.
hell
I
of a
think
division. It has been for a long
yeah.
time, and so many cups have come out of there in the last 15 years that it's hard to fade, and I think it's going to be hard to win. But again, like you say, whoever wins it doesn't necessarily go the distance. So there might be some jockeying for position, but at the end of the day, that division and those teams in it are going to be primed up for playoffs more than anything.
I love that they had the beef, Sammy Blais, and suddenly they're the heaviest team in the NHL. Like if they didn't add Blais, maybe they're the second heaviest team. I am getting a lot of heat in the chat for picking Ottawa to win the division. Again, it doesn't matter. It's not an indictment on the Maple Leafs whatsoever. I believe in this team, folks. So calm the fuck down. In support of Sick Kids, Devin Foyston, thank you so much for the super chat. Much love from the Big Nickel, Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. I see I'm trying to read this. I see the at third in the Atlantic this year come playoffs. I believe Devlin likes the Maple Leafs third in the Atlantic. How do you feel about that?
That's very possible. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
tight. It's going to come down to injuries, hot streaks, whose goaltenders are staying healthy. It's just one of those things, and it's going to be the difference between 4 points here or 5 points there. That's a handful of games over the next 7 months. It's just I just don't do the prediction thing. Like who thinks that they
Yeah.
can read the future? Like fucking Bobrovsky could get hurt. Matthews could go to surgery. It's just like we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to come down to a handful of points, but again, it's not indicative of who's going to go the distance. We've seen teams absolutely fold it in and fold up shop
Florida,
the last 10
Tampa.
games of the season
Yeah.
just to prime up for playoffs because they don't give a shit who they can play or who they have to play. So I just don't get caught up in playing that game, but I think that the Maple Leafs could absolutely win the division as they did last year. They could also be a wild card. I would be absolutely shocked if they missed the playoffs, but they could be a wild card, and then that could turn out being a blessing in disguise going and playing someone from a different division. Who knows how it's going to shake out, but we're going to be here watching.
I know we got 81 left. I don't care who they play because who beats the Leafs in the playoffs? Not the opponent, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think you concur with that, right?
Yeah, they usually beat themselves. You could argue that. God, they do it in so many different and interesting ways, but hopefully they are constantly building because we are winning series now. We're chipping away damn close to beating the best team in the world last year, albeit you could argue dropped the ball big time in game 3, dropped the ball big time in game 5 and 7, but closer and closer and closer they get.
They do. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Moments away from Luke Fox of Sportsnet dropping by here on Leafs Morning Take to break down a 5-2 victory for the Maple Leafs. I love the big boys getting their cookies like late. We were laughing. I had that parlay, the Vladdy home run from Game 3, and Willie Nylander ATG, and it hits with like 30 seconds left. The second of 2 empty netters. Matthews the first. I love that. Get your cookies, get some confidence going to start the year.
That is a secret little way of parlaying certain things, or picking a guy to be the last goal scorer, which the plus money is usually through the roof, but a guy that gets lots of empty netters, that's a good way to get that. But considering you thought you had that parlay hit in the first minute and a half of the game,
man.
and then Bobby McMahon snipes it from you to pull it off in the last minute of a game is pretty awesome. So nice hit there. Also, my Michelli anytime point, I believe, hit. He kept with that apple, I think, on the empty netter or whatever, which one it was. But yeah, all kinds of good bets being made these days. So pay attention, folks. We're nailing them.
I love that. I believe Michelli had the apple on the Morgan Rielly GWG to make it 3-2 there in the third period. But great to see. I mean, you can speak to it, obviously, being the former player. Just getting a point in the first game just sets you up for a successful season, I think, no?
Yeah, it's like what I was talking about with Morgan Rielly, just getting off on the right foot, starting. It's easy to put too much stock into the first game. It's worth the same thing as a throwaway, Wednesday game in February. But mentally, I think it's good to get off on the right foot, and everyone's paying attention, and everyone's in their group chat talking about who won the first game. So mentally, definitely great to get off on the right foot. And they did exactly that. So on to the next.
Feeling good, feeling great. So is today's guest, who is proudly supporting and wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat, Luke Fox of Sportsnet. What's going on, Luke? How are you? How you feeling after last night, bud?
Feeling good about the Blue Jays, that's for sure.
What wouldn't you be?
Yeah. A little bit of a mixed bag with the Leafs, but, a win's a win. So a great night for Toronto sports fans, to be sure. But I thought it was a really nice touch, actually, that the game ops went to the Blue Jays game in both the first and the second intermission, and then invited the hockey fans to stick around and watch the end of the Jays game on the Jumbotron. It's a small thing, but a big thing. And, I think the Jays run has really kind of gotten the Leafs' attention. They all went to that game 2 over the weekend as a group. And I think they got a little taste of what the city can be like when you have a winning team that goes deep in the playoffs.
Deep in the playoffs. It's
hey, Final Four.
It's
Final Four.
Yeah.
Hey, I do like it, and I'm excited for them too. That is a nice touch. I mean, if it was the reverse side and Toronto was going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and everyone at the Jays game, I know the seasons might not line up exactly, but the whole Rogers Center stayed around to watch the hockey game, it would be pretty awesome. So I'm glad it's the reverse side there. But you mentioned you weren't totally thrilled about the Maple Leafs win there. Obviously, they got 2 points, did their job. But what did you see overall with the opening night?
It was a little sloppy. I think Montreal probably had the better run of play for the first 2 periods. But the Maple Leafs have, in my mind, the better goalie. And I also think they have more game breakers. And I think it's really encouraging that one of those game breakers on night 1 was Morgan Rielly. He was phenomenal. He led the whole game in shot attempts. He got a goal, including the winner, and an assist, some key blocks. He was all over the place, and he was just pinching. He was up in the play. He was playing confident. And I think that bodes well for a bounce back season, bodes well for the Maple Leafs, who have really struggled last season under Berube to get much offense from the back end. And when you think about offense from the back end, it starts with Morgan Rielly. You're hoping maybe OEL gets some of that going as well, but it starts with him. So I think it was phenomenal. The other 2 positives for me were Bobby McMahon and Kelly Yarncroc. And these were guys that, ended last season in 20-plus game goal slumps, each of them. They were non-factors in the playoffs for me. And for them to not only get on the board, score on opening night, but also play effective and be noticeable. Towards the end of the game, Berube was bumping Yarncroc up on Matthews' line for some defense because he trusts him defensively. I thought those were really positives. But the first couple of periods, there's some sloppy passing, a little too east-west, some neutral zone turnovers that led the Montreal to have a ton of zone time. So there's definitely stuff to clean up. Power play was awful too, guys.
Oh, don't even start with the power play. But I want to get your thought on the top line, because it seems like the soap opera is underway, where it just feels like Michelli is not going to be that fit, or Berube doesn't think as high as other players right now when it comes to that slot alongside Matthews and Nyes. What was your read on that last night? Because we saw Domi take a spin. Michelli played the majority of the game. We saw Yarn croak. How would you read that situation right now?
Work in progress, Nick, and it probably is going to stay a work in progress for a long time. I think the camp, it was uneven. The grand plan was to have Domi start there, and it was kind of funny that one injury to Scott Lawton ended up changing pretty much all the lines except for the second line of McMahon, Tavares, Nylander. All the other lines got juggled due to one injury. And so Domi comes off, he drops down to a third line that, based on him and Robertson having flashes of success last season. Michelli gets this great gift where, he was scratched at times last season, got traded. Utah just was ready to part ways with him. All of a sudden, he starts on Matthews' wing in the old Marner spot. Like, what an opportunity. And he did make some nice passes. I don't think he had a horrible game by any means, but I still think he needs to earn the trust of the coaching staff, particularly defensively. The chemistry with Matthews isn't quite there yet. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, guys. I think we're going to see a few people get a little tryout in that role. And I'm not sure where it ultimately settles. We might be to the point where, the trade deadline rolls around and they're still looking for a solution there.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, that's the nature of the game when you bring in that many new guys and you're looking for the formula. But something that we are used to, that they have been through and is not new, is that dog shit power play. Like, it's not the personnel. You've got power play specialists out there. What is going on? Do you just have to blow up the system and the structure of what they're doing? Because, we can't keep watching that.
Yeah, it was a rough watch. And, last year when the power play clicked at its best is when they went to the unconventional 5 forward unit. And I don't foresee them doing that. I think it was purely based on the fact that Marner is the rare forward who can run point on a power play and facilitate. So what they're trying to do, because, watching them practice almost every day, is Berube's harping on them to get a shot right away. He wants them not to dust off the puck, make a ton of passes. He wants it to be more direct. As soon as you see a lane, no matter who it is, shoot it. And then hopefully it creates chaos, a rebound, a tip, those type of goals. I wonder though, if they're not, I know, defenses will key in on Matthews, but he's your goal scorer. He's your sniper. Why are they not revolving it a little bit more around him? Washington revolved their power play around Alex Ovechkin for years and years and years. And even though, the other team's PK knew it was coming, they still couldn't stop it. I wonder if he needs to be even more of a focal point now that Marner's gone, and try to get that shot off a little more frequently.
We talked about it earlier on. I think Rosie made the point, like, Willie Nylander, not one of his better games. Maybe he's caught in the clouds of his new YouTube channel, but still finishes the night with a goal and 2 assists. Is that just Willie? I mean, we all know at some point in time he's going to elevate, but I didn't think he was great last night.
I didn't think he was either. And yet, his line, I think it was 9-3. They outshot Montreal when they were on the ice, and Willie gets an assist. He gets the empty netter, so he's feeling good. His stats look good. But there was times where I felt like I was watching preseason Willie. Like, there was some shifts, particularly when he didn't have the puck, where he looked a little bit disinterested. And I think, you can look at that 2 ways. In one way, it's a testament to his skill, where even on a night where he doesn't look like he's really going or doesn't really have it, he finishes with 3 points and some positive metrics. On the flip side, you want to see a little bit more. There always not always, but last night in particular, and even through the preseason, you just feel like there's another gear that he's waiting to unleash. And I'm sure it'll come around. It's just kind of you got to ride the wave with Nylander. Sometimes he's on it. Sometimes he's not as much.
That is true. I want to ask some a sensitive situation, and I've kind of been griping with how much to go into it. But is there any inkling on anything to do with Joseph Woll? Is that just completely shut down and mum's the word?
Yeah, whenever you talk to anyone around the Leafs about it, they shut you down pretty quick. And it's, as a journalist, trying to cover the team, it's kind of a delicate balance, because you definitely want to respect the player, and if something is going on in his personal life, you don't want to pry too deeply. On the flip side of that coin is, what if Anthony Solars gets injured? There's, I think there's 3 back-to-backs this month. What if, Caden Primo looks very average to poor, and he's posting save percentages that begin with an 8? It's a major storyline that could affect the team. And we've been given 0 timeline for his return. Obviously something he's working through. And, we've been in the room. His equipment's there, just sitting there in his stall. So it's not like his stall has been removed. But is he even on the ice? I don't think so. If he is, he's using a different set of equipment. And, you miss training camp, you miss the beginning of the season. If and when he does come back, how sharp is he going to be? So, Stolarz was fantastic last night. Stolarz is really gearing up to hopefully play more starts than he ever has in his whole career. But we're talking about a guy that's never played as many as 40 games. They're going to need another goalie and probably a third goalie to step up. And without Joseph Woll, it's a massive question mark. Massive question mark.
Yeah, it just feels like one day we're going to get a press release. Joseph Woll is back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I mean, nobody's going to ask any questions, just going to move on with life. But on Caden Primo, I thought that was intriguing. I mean, if you were to ask me 4 days ago, like who the backup is to start the year, I'm like, well, either Hildeby or maybe Reimer. But is it your sense that Caden Primo, you referenced those 3 back-to-backs here in a very home-laden first month of the season. Is your sense that Primo is going to get one of those starts Monday or Tuesday? I know they got Nashville Tuesday night, and a rare Canadian Thanksgiving Monday where they're going to start in the afternoon against Detroit at home.
Yeah, I mean, my guess might be the Monday game. Just try to give Stolarz an extra day rest. I would assume Stolarz starts Saturday in Detroit. But, the sense I have is just because Primo's the backup right now doesn't mean that they won't throw Hill to be a start in here. I think they're going to take it day by day. And if Primo looks good in the first back-to-back, looks solid, maybe he gets the next one. But if he looks shaky, maybe they do a recall and give Hill to be a look. I think they want to get him some action, but they don't want to rely solely on Hill to be. And because he doesn't require waivers, he can go up and down as often as they please. The other thing is they'd rather have Caden Primo sitting on the bench, getting his toes cold, than Hildeby. They want him working with the Marlies. They want him getting reps. They want him being a focal point. And I think it's smart. I think they're smart to take their time. Goalies tend to peak later than skaters. So why not give Hildeby a ton of work down in the farm? And then if you need him, you need him.
Yeah, and last for me with a prospect as well, I don't think that they keep Easton Cowan on this roster to put him in the press box, but opening night scratch to me was more indicative of what he had to go through with the whole waiver deal, and not him on waivers, but going to the Marlies and the whole shuffle around to get your roster finalized. What do you think the future holds for him? Is he going to get in some games and stick with the team, or what do you think their plan is, if you're hearing anything?
Yeah, he's going to get in some games for sure. I mean, there's no sense bringing him up, but just to have him sit there. I think part of that last night was a function of the Marlies season hasn't started yet. So they want this guy playing, but he can't play down on the farm anyway. And I think they see value in just having him around the big club, just watching what a guy like John Tavares does on game day, watching what Austin Matthews does at practice, like little things like that. They want him in the environment because they see him as an important cog of their future plans. I think he'll get up to 9 games, and then they'll have a decision to make. And maybe those aren't 9 games in a row. And to my earlier point about Kelly Yarncroc made it pretty hard to take that guy out of the lineup. So who's he taking out? Maybe it's Nick Robertson. Maybe they give Yarncroc another crack at it Saturday night. But the first forward that kind of looks a little off, you got a guy over your shoulder in Easton Cowan that's ready to go. So I think they give him a look. I think it'll be kind of similar to the Fraser Minten thing a couple years back. I think Minten ended up getting 4 games before they said, you know what, he's probably better down in the AHL. I think they're going to give him some runway. The coach absolutely loves the kid, and then make a decision based on his performance. If he sticks with the big club, or if he goes down and plays top 6 minutes, power play, all the good stuff down in the American League.
Internal competition. Here we go. Foxy, great stuff. Thank you so much for your time today.
Awesome. Have a good rest of the show, guys. Go Jays.
Thanks, Fox.
Thank you. Sounds good. Take care. That's Luke Fox of Sportsnet, breaking things down. A 5-2 victory here for the Maple Leafs in Game 1, the season opener. But I think that's a fair assessment on Cowan. I know we'll talk about this tomorrow, teeing up the 2 games here against Detroit on Saturday and Monday afternoon. But at some point in time, Easton Cowan's going to get in there. I wonder if you duplicate the same roster because you had success. Do you subscribe to that theory or not really?
Yeah, I think that they're going to give him some runway, and they want to give him that opportunity and that experience, and they want to do that because they think he's ready for that. And then it'll be a tale of the results. Like, what's he looking like? How's he feeling? Everyone understands that there's value in playing in the National Hockey League for a young kid and getting that experience, and there's value in playing in the American Hockey League at that age and getting that experience. So just what he does with each opportunity will probably be indicative of where he ends up and where the majority of his time is spent. Again, I think it's valuable for him to play with Scott Laughton. That was kind of a theme coming out of the exhibition season, where he's playing with him, learning from him. They're gelling, they have chemistry. And if he's there, and again, in that 4th line role where you're not expected to get a ton of goals, it's not like the weight of the world is on his shoulders, but you're good enough to play on that line, things are going well. And the big thing is, if you're making the team better by being there, then by all means, I think you'll get some runway. But if it's hit or miss and he's kind of blending in and a couple mistakes here and there, and it's tough to get him the minutes to like work on some habits and whatnot, then I think they'll probably make a decision to get him some reps on the Marlies, and maybe he'll go up and down all year long. I'm not really sure, but I think his performance with the opportunity he gets out of the gates will probably indicate what that looks like.
Rave reviews on Luke Fox. Nickel City Grunge writes in, good interview, knows his shit. Mr. P-Mail Bacon, Luke was awesome. I tend to agree. Former coworker over at Sportsnet, killing it for us here at Leafs Morning Take. But yeah, I think it's so interesting that one injury changed the shape of this roster, right, Rosie? The fact that Laughton's out and it's like, boom, what do we do now? But it just shows you the importance of Laughton, where he was slotted. And Berube's been saying the last couple of days how he really liked that trio with Lorentz and Cowan. But so be it. I mean, injuries are part of the business and game.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't really touched on is that funneled down to giving Robertson a spot in this lineup opening night, which I don't think was the plan, and I don't think he looked anything except.
You were ready to pop off in the 3rd period. That giveaway, I saw the group. I could feel it, man.
I was like, "Good Lord, go take your shit off." But opportunity for him, opportunity for Yarncroc. One guy seized it, the other guy didn't so far. We will see, but I fully expect Cowan's going to play in the next. I think he's going to play next game personally, and I think Robertson's going to come out and they're going to elevate Yarncroc up a little bit higher, and I think that's going to make complete sense. I don't think he was skating when he was going through the roster shuffle there, and for that reason, I don't believe you throw him in his first NHL game. You want him to be in a pattern of a routine, and I think that will probably be the case this weekend. I could be wrong, but nonetheless, sooner than later, he's on the roster right now for a reason, and I think he's going to get his first NHL game here really soon.
My prediction is Monday afternoon for Easton Cowan, a home game as opposed to a road game. And I think, most coaches do it. Like, why would you deviate from a winning roster is my question. They won the first game, albeit clunky, sloppy, but there shouldn't be a rush. As Luke just intimated, the 9-game mark's important, right, for the contractual purposes. So, like, there's no sense just rushing him in at this point.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Do you want him to have opening night at home, or do you want him to be able to kind of fly under the radar a little bit on the road? I have no problem with putting Easton Cowan in for Nick Robertson. I don't think you're blowing up a winning formula after watching Game 1 last night. So it'll be interesting to watch and see where it lands, and I imagine practice will indicate where they're leaning.
Yes, sir. Maybe you get him a game in the AHL. The Marlies kick off on Friday. I mean, you can't forget too. He hasn't really played in it's going to be almost a week it's going to be a week on Saturday since Easton Cowan last played, and it takes a while to get your footing again when you miss some time.
Maybe they will do that. Yeah. Nonetheless, I don't think you can miss with a player of that caliber.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards he's earned the right to get reps up on the big club. But if they go away from that, I won't be pulling my hair out. I'll think that's just as smart as anything. Again, I don't think you can miss in either direction with that player.
It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. So very busy card, 14 games, 28 teams in action. I'm looking at one team specifically who, in fact, was at Scotiabank Arena last night, and the other team is the opponent for the Maple Leafs on Saturday and Monday. I like Montreal on the road, plus money, the back-to-back. Jakub Dobiš is going to start. I'm going to take the Habs in the back-to-back here. What's with the face?
Too much time had gone by, but I was going to say Ontario because you said Ontario.
Oh, yeah, I screwed that up. Yeah, I screwed that up.
And then Vic texts me Ontario.
Screwed it up.
Hey, I like your bet though. I also like the Montreal getting the W down there. I think they're a pretty solid little team, and usually after kind of feeling like they were probably had a very good chance to win last night, they'll probably bring their best stuff. I am going to a game that is not in Ontario. It's down south, and it's the Penguins, pesky Penguins, and the Islanders. And I think Sid the Kid's going to get on the board. I had it open. I can't remember what exactamondo the moolah is, but Sid's just still prime Sid. It seems like he doesn't really age, and he's such a consummate professional, one of the best in the world. Sprinkle a little on there on top of your bet, which I do like Montreal to get their first win on top of a Sidney Crosby anytime point.
Invite me to the group chat next time, damn it. Come on.
Which one was it? Oh, maybe it was
the one where Vic sends you a text message and not to me. Fucking sewer job 3.0. Anyways,
Ontario.
Great job today. Yeah, I know. It's tough. So many reads. And you would think reading's easy, but I find I'm a bit dyslexic reading these things, man. It's just like it all jumbles up in my eyes and I'm like,
Maybe we should mix it up and I'll take a read or two.
Yeah, maybe we get Rosie with some reads. That'd be fun.
I wouldn't mind just to mix it up. These reads, I don't know. We're gonna talk to the marketing team and make sure these reads are at a reasonable length because I don't like all. I think people get the idea. They see the logo and they get it and they like it. Look at that Bet365 right there. Everyone can see it. Good stuff.
Beautiful.
Good things. I like it.
All right, we are finished for today. The Maple Leafs off to a 1-0 start. Thank you to Luke Fox of Sportsnet for dropping by the show at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to preview the two games. The one of which coming on Saturday in Detroit, then Monday home to Detroit, Thanksgiving. We're doing a show on Monday, by the way, so we'll have a preview of that game, a recap of the game coming up as well. So thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com.